Folks, hello again. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has proven himself to be a proper wartime leader. The world hardly took any notice of him in the years after the former actor/comedian was elected in 2019. He wasn't even that popular at home, with an approval rating of just 31%. That was December last year. But then his country was invaded by Russia. It's reported by Ratings Sociological Group that 90% of the country remain optimistic. Just how polls were conducted in the current climate is another question, but no doubt his popularity has soared. Zelensky is a warrior, and selected photographs of him, kitted up in body armour, have been published to show just that, even though some predate the invasion by a few months. The world has rallied behind the 44-year-old, taking on the might of Vladimir Putin. When the US reportedly offered to evacuate him as the Russian military advanced, he refused to leave Kiev, declaring, "I need ammunition, not a ride."
Захищати нашу державу, тому що наша зброя – це наша правда. Наша правда в тому, що це наша земля, наша країна, наші діти. І ми все це будемо захищати. Ось і все. Ось це і є те, що я хотів вам сказати. Слава Україні!
Now he has plenty of weapons and ammunition. He's asking for a no-fly zone. But for the West, this would be foolish. If a no-fly zone was imposed by NATO, just as it was in Libya, things would escalate rapidly and move beyond Ukraine's borders. Why? Because NATO would have to attack Russian planes to establish air supremacy. NATO would have to take out ground-based air defence systems, including anti-aircraft assets. NATO would have to kill Russians. Granting Zelensky his wish would change the course of the war, but at what cost? There would be a response. It would be an invitation for Vladimir Putin to go full throttle and use that massive arsenal of nuclear weapons which is at his disposal. The US has already said Putin is bluffing on nuclear threats, but if Putin is backed into a corner, it may well be his last throw of the dice. Is Putin the type of leader to throw up his hands and concede? I don't think so. The US and its Western allies know what a no-fly zone would mean, which is why one hasn't been imposed. Zelensky is desperate, we all get it, but NATO can't run the risk of dragging other nations into all-out war.
What we're trying to do is end this war in Ukraine, not start a larger one.
Then, what of China, the rather large shadow behind the Russian bear? Even in the unlikely event of a no-fly zone being imposed, what's Xi Jinping's role in the current war? Well, it's significant. Remember, China hasn't condemned the attacks. It also abstained from key UN resolutions, which I spoke about last week. Since then, it's come to light that President Xi knew of Putin's impending plan to invade. But Xi asked him to wait until after the Winter Olympics had finished. How convenient. We all suspected this, but seeing it written up as Western intelligence was truly something. It solidifies the Putin-Xi team, which was already rock solid after the pair signed a so-called no-limits partnership on the eve of the Olympics. That deal means China will effectively support Russia through its long list of current economic sanctions. Xi has committed to buying about $117 billion US worth of Russian oil and gas. China has also relaxed restrictions on the imports of wheat, Russia being the world's largest producer. So now the attention turns to Taiwan. Russia said during the signing of that no-limits partnership that Taiwan was an inalienable part of China. So should China attempt to reunify, Xi may be calling in a favour from Putin. If you can believe it, that's a prospect much more frightening than war in Ukraine, which would force the West into a much bigger response. Please support this channel by liking, sharing and subscribing below, and I'll see you next week.